So now I think is a good time to move into the Lotus. It's a clean title, 2007. Had like 80 something thousand miles on it before. Last time I was registered in 17. It's been a kind of dedicated track car since. It did not have headlights when I got it. It had blank covers, fiberglass. I actually bought these, $1,800. Lotus specific stuff like lights and like random things are kind of expensive because they don't really make these new, so you have to actually buy one that like somebody crashed their car or something like that. So $1,800, but these do have dual projectors and HIDs. If you don't know, this is normally not a projector, it's like a bowl, and the stock headlights absolutely suck. And I've driven at night once to the gas station, and these things were like so bright, like blinding to everyone, but it's good because they work. Other than that, it has no amenities. It's fully caged. It has a cage. Most of these cars don't require the door bars, simply because this kind of is the door bar. This part of the aluminum chassis. This is like the side impact protection. But basically, yeah, it has no radio, no AC, no heat, no air to blow. I don't know what else these cars really have. Oh, it does have working electric windows though. It still has glass door windows, and they still go up and down with the electric motor, which is surprising that they kept that in there. It has these beautiful Tillet carbon fiber seats. These things are like $3,000 or $4,000. Schroth racing harnesses, out of spec, but still pass for basic track days. This whole shifter assembly is like $2,000 also. So you're starting to see why I bought an already built one. These prices, they add up. This cluster, $2,000. AIM is a great company. That thing is insane. There's so many displays and modes on that thing, and it automatically detects when you're at the track because it has a GPS up there on the windshield, which is how it senses your speed, and it literally tells you your lap times as you're going around. Like, it's like I pulled up to the track, didn't do anything, it already said amp on the bottom, and then you just get on the track, do lap times, and you can load up your session. Like, I did 9 laps in a session, and it'll literally say every single lap time. You can load that into a laptop, show you where you're braking, accelerating, how fast you're going through certain points on the track through the GPS. Like, it's literally like mind-blowing. The only thing it really has that's like stock is like traction control, hazards work. The lights all work, the turn signals all work, left, right, front, rear, brake lights, everything, all that stuff works, which is good because that's all I really need for a street car. That and roll up windows so I can park it. And then I deleted the alarm system because, as I said, the immobilizer kicked in and it blocked me out at my first track day with this thing where the fuel pump and starter didn't work. So that was kind of a waste of like $200, sadly. But it does have manual locks, which you just turn. I understand they're easy to bypass, but you know, if I'm street parking this, it's not really for a long time. It's done a good amount of tracks. Laguna Seca runs like a 135 around Laguna Seca, which is pretty goddamn quick. Sonoma, this is Northern California. I don't remember which one is which, but then there's the Thunder Hill, both configurations, and then there's 2 other tracks. Believe it or not, this is also the same wing that was on my old car, but it has the higher wing stands. Crazy diffuser that works. Hopefully it's focused. Probably asking what this big cannon is. So the track day that I blew my motor at this past weekend was actually a sound restricted track, meaning your exhaust has to be 96 decibels or less. So because this car ran Laguna Seca, if you don't know Laguna Seca, the famous Laguna pipe where they aim them to the left because the sound meter is on the right for the track, Laguna Seca is a 95 decibel or lower track. So it actually came with this. It basically has 2 mufflers right now. You can see the second one in there. You undo this clamp and 2 bolts and you take off this, and then it's still not that loud, but it's louder than 105 decibels at redline, and you can drive it at the normal tracks. And then if you're going to run a exhaust restricted track, you just bolt this up, and it literally takes like 2 minutes to do, and then boom, you can pass sound, and you have access to basically all the tracks in America with that, which is pretty awesome. Full diffuser, as I said, on the R888Rs right now. As you can see, they're pretty eaten up from the past track day. I had some fun with this car right as it blew up. Packed all the stuff. Have my oil in there and my octane booster. This thing is tuned on 100 octane. That's probably what you're wondering, is the power figures. So this makes 360 wheel horsepower on 100 octane, which is a lot of horsepower for an 1,800 pound car. People don't realize that because I tell them the horsepower and they're like, oh, like that's That's like a lot of horsepower, but that's not like a lot. It's not like 500. But then people don't realize that those cars that make 500 plus horsepower, they weigh 3,000 pounds or more. This literally weighs 1,800 pounds. Like, that's lighter than a Miata. That's lighter than most gutted Civics. That's very light. And at the crank, that's almost 400 horsepower, and this car stock makes 220, so you can see how much insanely faster it is. It does have the full built 2ZZ, not very functional anymore. It will start. I will probably start it because I'm going to move it in there so I can start my dismantling of this process. But literally everything, coolant catch can, or a coolant overflow thing, that's the swirl pot for the water cooled supercharger, oil catch can, injectors, fuel rail, intake, the 400 supercharger kit, the head is fully built, no VVTi actually, it's deleted, solid rocker cams, stage 3 cams, so it idles at like 1300 and has like a idle. I'll try to find any videos I have on my phone to include here of like poles and stuff like that. Obviously the GoPro footage has a good amount of that. The transmission is also a built Black Watch racing transmission that's like $6,000 because these transmissions blow at around 300 wheel, especially third and fourth gear are very weak, so this is like fully built and worth a lot of money. And yeah, everything about it has a fuel surge tank as well over there. Yeah, it's very, very built. Has a trans cooler with a surge, with a scavenger pump. Has a oil cooler that has a little fan on it that turns on based on things. Fuel pressure regulator. All these things go into the AIM. Low oil pressure, fuel pressure, AFRs, trans temperature, coolant temperature. Like, I mean, literally this thing is fully prepped and stuff like that. It does have a polycarbonate windshield and the back window. This is the GPS thing I talked about for the AIM. That's how it tells your miles per hour and your location on the track, and if you're near a track. Upgraded triple core radiator with 2 spout fans that are also controlled with a switch based on temperature. Full Revere carbon fiber splitter. Huge. This entire thing is flat bottom, carbon fiber canards as well, tow hook front rear. It is on Penske coilovers that are pretty stiff. It does have the AP Racing brakes front and rear, exact same caliper size front and rear. The rotors in the rear are actually bigger because as you can probably tell, this thing is basically fitting. This is a 16 in the front, and you can see how close that is. And then in the rear to 17, that's how Lotuses are stock, 16 and 17. So sadly, a lot of race Lotuses, they go down to 15, 16 or 15, 15 wheels. And when I'm saying the size, I mean like front diameter and rear diameter. Sadly, I can't go down lower than a 16 because that's literally the minimum you can run to fit those brakes. And then the rear rotors are even bigger just because those are 17s to fill it up. The braking power is insane. On the track I drove had 3 or 4 straightaways, and I mean, I think I was reaching 130, 140 miles an hour at the end of most of them, and I was heavily braking into them. And I mean, the brakes are insane how well they stop the car into the corner, and it, you know, totally proved everything I loved about this car because you could drive it very fast and actually very easy. Like it's easy to predict when it's going to oversteer. It's easy to predict when it's going to do anything funny as long as it's set up correctly, which this is. It has the proper 5mm rake. The alignment is done. Actually the steering rack was a little bit loose in the middle, so I actually replaced the steering rack with a quicker ratio rack. It literally from the center takes 1 full turn to the left to be fully locked to the left, and then same thing for the right. So it's a very, very quick race feel rack. I got it realigned for 0 toe in the front, and then it has like 3mm toe in the rear, -2.5 camber all around. It's a very, very well dialed car. Clearly it's ran some very competitive lap times and stuff in them. And yeah, that's my, I guess, that's my look over with this car and everything. But it's an awesome car. Like, I mean, it blew up, but I'm still pretty happy with it, honestly speaking. I don't want to sell it or anything, trust me. It's really like this car. I think I've had it now for a month and it's already blown up. But so basically the plan is actually I'm gonna K swap it, the Honda K series motor. It's kind of why I'm making the YouTube video, because I realized that there's actually no K swapped Lotuses on YouTube. I know there are like videos of them, but there's no like full project start to finish ones. Maybe there's like the picture ones, but I kind of wanted to do something like for somebody who has a Lotus that maybe they blew it up, or you know, because the Toyota motor kind of runs out of motivation at 300 wheels stock for the most part, and then the Trans especially does, and the Honda package stock is just so much better because you can make up to 400 wheel horsepower on the stock engine and Trans pretty easily, like very easily with a supercharger. You can even go turbo and make, I mean, like my friend has in Colorado, he has his is red too, it's an Elise those on that racing channel. His makes like 600, mid 600 wheel on a turbo K series. I'm not sure if it's a 20 or 24, and then there's some on the East Coast that make like 800, 900 wheel. Now I'm not after like drag fast, you know, straight line speed stuff. I'm after track stuff. So my plan is just to grow with this car, and that's why when I swap it, I'm actually going to be going to a K series, a K24 naturally aspirated setup. Now that's actually going to make like 250 to 270 wheel horsepower naturally aspirated. And you're probably like, hey, like, why are you losing 100 wheel, basically? Honestly, this car is so fast. It's way too fast for me to even learn on, because this thing is like frighteningly, like, scary fast around the track. Like, it's scary. So basically, I'm going back to an NA setup. The K series is actually faster than a 300 wheel setup Toyota wise on this, simply because the power band of a K series is a lot more torquier and better than the Toyota, where it's super linear and all the power's at the top. The K has a lot more power in the middle, and then of course it's still at the top. So that's kind of my plan, and then eventually when I get used to the chassis and can start pushing it to be more competitive, I can basically do more aero, and then I could go supercharged on the K24 and go for like 400 wheel or more and have insane aero on it, because there's a specific wide body and Super GT wide body that I want to do that has technically never been done on a Lotus, that I know some people who are developing it, but there's no point in talking about that, because as always with projects, I don't like to talk about like the future, because who knows if it'll even happen. Basically, I'm just telling you what I'm about to do right now, because probably I'm gonna end the video after this. I'll probably show you the knock and I'll move it into this space. But basically, I'm going to start dismantling this thing, and I'm trying to have the drivetrain out by this weekend, because actually the supercharger alone is like a $7,000 kit, and then the Trans is like worth like $8,000-9,000 new. So I'm probably going to be selling both those things for $4,000 to $5,000, and then selling other things off the Lotus or off the Toyota motor. And then basically that's already going to give me such a big fund that I can fund my K swap and still have money left over. Because that was basically my plan with this car, was I always told myself, my girlfriend, my friends, if I blow the Toyota motor, I'm literally just selling the supercharger and the Trans and other things and funding my K swap basically for free, part of the value of the car. That's kind of been my plan. I didn't expect it to blow within a month. I expected, you know, hey, we're going to do half a year of track days or something. But it's all right. My goal is to hopefully get it running by February. That is a very hard goal, because swapping a motor that doesn't belong into a car is not something that's easy usually. And I mean, I know I have the mechanical skill. I didn't exactly want to do this. Like, I did not want to be working like this on this car, because it was kind of just buy it, maintain it, drive it, maintain it, oil, blah, blah, blah. But sadly now I have to wrench on it. I was kind of trying to get away from doing a major project, but I'm kind of given no choice, because there's no way I'm selling this car while it's in this state, because it's just worth a lot to me. And I know the car makes me happy. Like, I know that already. I don't have to question, hey, do I even like this car? Why am I putting all this time and money? Just like the Skyline, where I wasn't truly happy. So with this Lotus, that's what I'm going to start doing. Hopefully I'll have a K24 sourced pretty soon. They're quite easy to find. I'm going to be going with like the 07 Plus SI setup with the 6-speed Trans. And just NA for now, just so I can work out all the kinks in the swap first. And then I can literally just put a supercharger on that stock K24 and go for 300, 350, 400 wheel pretty easily with the supercharger, and just kind of, you know, make my way in, because with new swaps, you really do need to do a lot of like testing and dailying the car just to find little kinks and issues and stuff like that. So that's the plan. Hopefully you guys are happy. Let me know in the comments if you're happy to see me back on YouTube. I just didn't want to do YouTube when I wasn't truly happy, I guess. I know that sounds lame, but now that I'm happy and I'm working on a car that makes me happy, and I know makes me happy, it's pretty, you you know, fun. I'll include all the track footage from how I blew it up. It's going to be like 2-3 laps. I was going pretty hard on the last 2 laps. I kept lowering my lap times by like a second or two every single time I went out. And I was trying to go for like some pretty competitive lap times to match some of the time trial cars in the classes that this would be classed in. So I can know, you know, just develop myself as a driver and everything. And sadly that happened, but I'll include those GoPro footage at the end of this video and all that stuff, just to show how quick this car is. I don't know if it even looks fast in the GoPro footage. I didn't look at it yet, because always in GoPro footage, stuff doesn't look fast. And if it does look fast in GoPro footage, then it's like insanely fast. But obviously in person, this thing felt really fast. So, yeah, I'm gonna move this car and you're gonna hear the beautiful knock. But I guess I'm gonna clean up this area. Same area I basically did everything on the Skyline too. It sucks because I don't want, you know, the door opens and then the Lotus is going to be right here. We are going to be taking off the rear clam. This has one of those clam kits where the whole thing can tilt back like a transformer, which is nice for working on it, but then we're obviously going to take off the whole clam because to take out the engine and everything, there's a ton of room once you remove this clam. Honestly, there's a lot of room. It's like an open go-kart exoskeleton car. And yeah, we're going to be working on getting all that stuff out. I need to go buy a hoist again because I haven't used one since the LS M3 swap. And a lot of fun stuff. I'm trying to finish it by February, mainly because right now is the prime season, the prime track season right now in Arizona, where it's just really great to track your car because it's nice weather right now. It's not hot. It's like 60 to 70 degrees every day. It's 40 in the morning. And they're doing about like 1 to 2 track days a month locally, like within an hour of me every month. And that's going to go up until like May, and then the heat really comes in, and then they don't really do like track days as much. But luckily we have the RV, so I will be able to go to like North California or out of state somewhere where it's not insanely hot like it is in Arizona and do track days. That's kind of the whole point of this. So I could do tracks like Laguna, Road Atlanta, Watkins Glen, like these famous tracks around America. That's kind of the whole point of this rig, basically, is to tow. And you know, so you want to hear the knock on the engine? Pretty bad, as you can hear. It gets even worse when you obviously rev it. And you're probably like, Andre, why are you driving a car with rod knock? I don't care. I know the motor's gone. The most I can salvage from it is the head, which I'm probably gonna sell because somebody can clean up the head and salvage it. The bottom end is gone. I'm just gonna move it into its spot, and that's basically it for the engine. It's never gonna run again. Technically, it's gonna be taken apart, sold for parts and whatnot, but I'm gonna move it into its spot right now. Let me try to find a good angle. We could probably use the RV as a great platform now. Maybe you'll hear the rod knock from here, but hello. I'm honestly pretty surprised that the car hasn't thrown a rod or anything, because I believe the valve train noise started when I crossed the finish line, or you know, on the track, and I heard a little bit of like, you know, like as if like a rocker arm or something like that, and then that slowly like like 10 seconds later came into a hard rod knock. Once again, you guys are probably like, you're supposed to turn off the engine the second you hear any noise, and I get it, but it's just like, that's such a high-end race motor that you're not going to reuse anything out of that motor besides the block, maybe like just the raw block after machining work, and that just doesn't matter because it's not like it's like a BMW V10. Like it's not a motor that costs a lot of money. You could buy a 2ZZ long block that runs drive stock from a Corolla for $1,000, and you can buy that long block probably disassembled for a few $100s. So hopefully you understand my point with that. But yeah, so I'm technically going to start my next video now, which is kind of disassembling it. I didn't want to put the disassembling phase into this video because obviously there was a lot to talk about and catch up, which maybe some of you care about. Maybe if you don't, leave a comment if you do care. If you don't, oh well. There's just a lot of stuff because obviously I went down 2 cars and got this thing and got that thing and got this thing. Just kidding, I've always had her. Got that trailer. He's just chilling. But yeah, so hopefully this is a good enough area because the back end's really all I'm going to be really working on, technically speaking. So I kind of just wanted enough room for like a hoist to roll around. Hopefully this is enough room for a hoist to roll around and grab the motor out and throw it on the ground really hard. But yeah, so thanks so much for watching. Will be the GoPro footage now of the track day and everything like that. I'll probably add some captioning and subtitling just to explain what I was doing because I didn't really talk. I was just kind of recording it just in case I crashed or something like that. It wasn't so much for the YouTube video, but bye guys. Hopefully you're excited for the K-swap Lotus Exige.
up. I blew it up. That's the motor knocking. You don't hear that?
I do.
Yeah. That was a hell of a way to go out though. Yeah, that's supposed to be. It's a catch can. Yeah, it has rod knock, so yeah. Like I mean, like I'm mad, but like those last like 2-3 laps are absolutely fucking to the balls. The oil. You know what? I'm kind of glad. I just spent $200 on video games to distract myself from shit.
Yeah.
Cause like, I even told you and told everyone, I'm like, dude, like the second the motor, I knew the motor would blow out the trans, because the trans is like fresh. This motor has like 30+ hours on it, but it also could have been my fault just for getting it too hot. But like I said, I just want to case swap it once it blows because it's cheaper.
Right. Yeah. That's Honda. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I want to do that anytime soon because I really don't feel like working on cars. But
that's fine.
I don't know. I'm kind of like the chassis proves itself to me. Like I love driving this thing so much. It sucks because I only got basically like what I still have fucking one more session. And you never got to ride in it. Fuck. It was fucking fast. I'm glad I had the thing's still right blinking. Yeah, I'm glad I had the GoPro because I was like just fucking whipping it.